hang out and check that out. It's a fully digital card game made by an actual small indie studio called Rhino Games, I think it is. Rhino sounds right. Is a game that is fully cross-platform. You can play on Android and iOS and on the PC as well. All right, what are we doing? So we're going to start with a blue-green Reanimator deck in this game. This game has 6 different colors in it. The Reanimator strategies in this game are powered by the card Hopeless Necromantic here. So this is a 3-cost that when it dies, it replaces itself with the bottom minion in your discard pile. So our goal is to discard one of these big giant fatties that we have here in a couple different colors. And then we get our Hopeless Necromantic killed and she flips them into play. And then the combo aspect of our deck is we have freki sidecar here, which gives the adjacent minions rush. So you can floop a giant guy into play next to the sidecar, and the sidecar can let them attack right away. We also have Berserkr Sickness, which gives it frenzy to let it attack twice. So with the right setup, you can flip a giant monster into play, give it rush, and then attack twice. So let's see if this ends up being too much to put together, or if it ends up being somewhat reasonable. For people that haven't seen this game before, I'll talk through some of the basics of what differentiates this from Magic as we play. One of the key differences is, unlike in Magic, there are not resources in your deck in this game. This game uses a resource system very similar to the old WoW TCG or Kaijudo, in that you can discard any card from your hand to turn it into a resource of that color. That means there's no flooding or screwing when you play Mythgard. You have fine control over exactly how many resources you have every single game. One of the things I really like about this resource system, as opposed to something like Hearthstone, where you just get a progression every turn, is this game preserves that deck building depth that you have in Magic, where you can combine lots of different cards from different colors. One of the things that always made me not be able to stick with other games like Hearthstone was the fact that, like, the deck building depth just wasn't really there. Alright, this opener is pretty reasonable. Cataclysm's a sweeper, so I probably won't want that until later in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and take this and drag it down here. So I gain 1 total resource and 1 blue gem at the bottom, and then that card went back off into my deck over here. So you don't lose the cards when you burn or discard them. They instead are placed back into your deck so you can redraw them later. There is an in-game deck tracker over here on the right, and you can see when I scroll down, there's 1 copy of Cataclysm back in my deck, and it's got an orange dot, which means I've already burned it. Alright, Grinning Kolobok is, like, not particularly exciting on turn 2, and one of the things I really like about the resource system in this game is it allows you to kind of control not only how many resources you have, but how you're curving out, because you can take a card like this that I no longer really need to be playing and burn it back into my deck. And obviously we could redraw that card later, but for the most part, you have a lot of control over how your turns are playing out. So this Reanimator deck, to get something into the bin, it has every deck that you build in this game has what's called a path associated with it, and this path says when I activate my power over here, I discard a card from my hand. So using my power with my path, I always have a discard outlet, which is great. So I get to bin my 12/12 Living Mountain here. And then I have my Hopeless Necromantic here, so we're going to get to play her out next turn on 3. And then if this dies, we get to floop our 12/12 back into play. Mythgard is my new obsession. The faction quests have been awesome to work through. Sweet. Yeah, I've talked to people who have been free-to-play in the game, and they said the free-to-play is pretty generous overall. I personally am a whale in every game that I play. So this turn's a good example of how the resource system in this game works. So this card costs 3 total resources to play, but it explicitly costs 2 green gems. So in order to play this out, I need to burn a green card this turn, because if I don't burn a green card, I don't meet both requirements to play it. The combat system in this game, I really enjoy. It's incredibly innovative and reasonably intuitive. So whenever you're playing out units, each player has a 7x7 board here, and your units get placed into one of these positions. And then when you're attacking, you can't attack past your opponent's blockers in the 3 spaces in front of you. So my opponent here is actually running away. So in addition to moving your units around, in addition to attacking, you could also move your units. So this person decided they don't really want to kill my hopeless necromantic because it's going to put a 12-12 into play. So they moved their guy over rather than attacking. No, it uses the colors up for the turn as well. So it's different than Hex if you had played that game in the past. So I'm actually going to slide my dork over here. And then since I have a second hopeless necromantic here, I'm actually going to go ahead and burn off... I'm going to burn off the kolobok again and play another necromantic over here. Yeah, it's kind of like tapping lands of that color. You can see when I play this out, I go down to 1 resource remaining, and 2 of my green gems fade out here. So, this disc, in addition to making me discard a card, it also gives every minion in play the ability Slayer 1. And what that does is, Slayer makes minions deal an extra damage to explicitly other minions. So even though these are 2s, if they attack into my 2-3, they'll kill my 2-3 because they're dealing 3 damage currently. Damage does not erase at end of turn, so damage is maintained on units. There are different things that heal units. For instance, this guy that my opponent made creates a potion card, and the potion card restores health on a minion. You get your gems replenish every turn, just as like if you were untapping your lands, for instance. That is a 6/5 that has an ability called Focused. So this says when it attacks the thing directly in front, the lane directly in front of it, it deals extra damage. So now I have to decide. I think I want to kind of set up to try and combo them with our Combo Reanimator deck. So Berserkr Sickness here gives a minion Frenzy. So this can't attack the turn it comes into play because I don't have the sidecar to give it Rush. But I can go ahead and trade this off here, which then puts the Living Mountain into play. So next turn, I can Berserkr Sickness this and attack twice with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and use my power here, which deals 2 damage to my opponent and then triggers my disc, which lets me look at the top 2 cards of my deck. And then I get to draw one of them. I think I'm going to go ahead and burn the Thane here to get another blue gem. And I'm going to go ahead and play out this Born Again. I'm going to play the Born Again out over here, actually. So that way I can eventually attack this down with multiple things. The Yarok deck was sweet. There's a lot of people trying aggro decks in Historic right now, and Yarok's very reasonable against them. Yes, you can use your power once per turn for 2 resources. Again, toggle off subscribers while we're doing Mythgard. And they use those books. You can see we're talking about whether or not things heal every turn. They use their potions to heal this back up to full. That's super unfortunate. So this is the positional based combat in this game is really interesting. So this card says the minion in the lane directly opposite of it has its strength locked to 0. So they locked my 12-12 down to a 0-12 while it's directly across from this. And I can slide this over so it's no longer directly across from this, but I can't move and attack in the same turn. One of the things I really like about this game is there's a lot of play and counterplay in a lot of the games that you have. So like, my plan kind of came together and I flipped a giant monster into play here, but they've had good ways to interact with me. So, if I use my power this turn, I get to discard a card. So I'm going to shoot them which then lets me put Irk into my discard pile, and then Hopeless Necromantic can attack for 3 here, which brings my 10/10 in, and then this can trade off here because of the way that Slayer works. And then I think I just play the Born Again out over here. And I think I'm going to slide this over so that way they have to move this again. So they can slide both of these over and keep this power locked, but they'll have to keep doing that every turn. Hey, Barbaric, thanks for the sub gift. I appreciate that. One of the things this game does really well, if you're looking at this and you think it sounds interesting, you're looking for a new phone or desktop card game to play a little bit of in addition to Magic, but you're not interested in spending dollars to get started, one of the things this game does, which is excellent, is they have what they call their feature decks, which are decks that you get for free just for making an account that you can play in unranked and even ranked matches without owning any of the cards in them. And there's a pool of 30 or so feature decks that you get 2 assigned to you at random from, and those feature decks change every Monday and Friday. So you get 2 new ones from the pool every Monday and Friday. So you can really sample the actual decks in the game, like the powerful cards like mythics and rares, without actually having to own those cards. Interesting. So they just played Horn, which gives all their minions an extra action, so they get to do an extra thing this turn. They might pound down my 12/12 here. They can get to attack multiple times. They had a feature deck yet. I did not submit any decks last time they were looking for feature decks. Just hadn't quite played enough. Give a friendly minion Swift and Teleport. So this gives it a free move action for the turn, which is huge. Can I kill them? I think I get to combo them. So I get to Teleport, lets it move any number of lanes. So I get to jump this over to here, and then this can crunch through here. And then this had Swift, so it gets to hit them for 12. And then we get to Berserkr Sickness, let's give it Frenzy so it can attack again. Nice. That was sweet. The positional element of the combat in this game has a lot of depth to it. One of the signs of a generally, in my opinion, of a good game is where you can explain the basics fairly quickly, but there's a lot of depth and takes a while to master. And it's very easy to explain roughly how the combat works in this game, but like there's so much depth to the amount of different things you can do with it. I really love a lot of the artwork in here too. There's an in-game high-resolution art gallery you can click through. And you can also do other things in the client while you're in the queue, so you can actually see we're waiting in the ranked queue. We've been there for 30 seconds, so I can click through the art gallery waiting for the queue to happen. Thanks for the 18 months, Edge Freak. I appreciate the 1.5 years. The power changes. So the path that I have with this deck, it alternates. So the first time you use your power, you discard, but the second time you use it, you draw a card. So it kind of alternates back and forth for you. So again, talking about the things that this game does well that I like, one of the things this game does that I wish Magic would do is explore benefits to being on the draw. So every path has a pursuit modifier, which is a bonus you explicitly get when you're on the draw. So for the disc, this says the first time I use my power, if I'm on the draw, it's free. So I get to go ahead and hit this for free and discard my Living Mountain here. Get my 12/12 in the bin. Want to do that now just in case they kill my 1/1, because Hopeless Necromantic explicitly cares about the bottom card of my deck. The paths also help determine your starting life total. My opponent's path here says whenever one of their non-ephemeral, which is kind of like non-token minions die, they get a soul, and when they have 3 souls, they get the bottom minion of their discard pile back to their hand. This guy has the mechanic called Swift, so it can move and attack in the same turn. It also has a mechanic called Energy, which is very similar to kind of Planeswalker loyalty. It is it's a mechanic that's tied specifically to this card, and this one says it starts with the energy, and every time it moves, it gains one more, and then when it eventually dies, I gain extra mana. So it's a 1 mana dork that's not like nearly as obnoxious as something like Land War Elves or Gilded Goose. He is very creepy. Yeah, I'm excited to see what some of the, it sounds like they posted some of the intended balance patch notes. They have an update coming to this client starting for tomorrow, I believe. And I was gonna change some of the cards in it. So that's actually a good question. So I probably should have activated my power there. The reason why I didn't play the Kolobok is because I don't have another green card. So I want to burn this so I can play Hopeless Necromantic here. So if I didn't save that green card, I wouldn't have had the double green gem threshold to play this. My power just straight up domes them for damage. It deals 2 if they have more life than me and does 1 otherwise. So they killed my thing and it had 2 energy, so I gained 1 extra mana. If they can't banish this, this is going to get to trade here, and I'm going to get to put a Living Mountain into play, which is great. This thunderclap is going to be very good next turn. It deals 2 damage to my opponent and all of their minions. And they've got a bunch of 2 defense or less minions. A Gall would be very good to exile a card from my discard pile. Very true. This says, this minion has Defender and can give another minion +1 attack, -1 defense. If this is occupied at the start of their turn, they draw a card. So actually, I haven't talked about these kind of cards yet. So this is an enchantment, and the way enchantments in this game work is they occupy a specific lane, and then the minions in that lane gain a bonus. So if this lane is occupied at the start of my opponent's turn, they so my mountain can't attack the turn it comes into play. So don't quite have lethal there. If I had a sidecar, we could get them, though. So even though this thunderclap would kill their 3/2 here, I want to attack first, because when this dies, I get my mountain back. And then I'm going to thunderclap and kill the rest of their things here. Give them the clap. So I got my 12/12 with Overrun, and I've got my Berserkr Sickness, so if they don't kill this, I'm going to get to attack with it twice next turn, which is big game. One of the things I didn't talk about in the game is you'll notice in the corners of each of my cards, there's different colored dots. The dots represent not only the rarity of this card, so this card's gold, so it's a rare, but the rarity dictates how many copies of a card you can have in your deck. So Cataclysm here is rare, so I can have at most 2 copies in my deck. This card is mythic, so I can have at most 1 copy. Did the overlay unload? Weird. Sometimes the overlay randomly unloads. I also, the developers I was talking about, they're rolling out an update to the client. The update to the client is supposed to include the deck list in the overlay, starting with the next update. Yeah, so this is stunned. I think I might actually play for a little bit not comboing them here, just because I have a 7 and 8 in my hand. So I think I'm going to burn the Berserkr Sickness here, even though I could combo if I untap with this potentially. And I'm just going to Cataclysm, which does 5 to everything. Because taking their minion off of this especially reduces their card advantage, which is nice. And I think curving 7 into 8 here with the mountain already in play probably means I win even without the Sickness. And like, this burning the Sickness is better in the event that my opponent draws removal for this. See, this is uncommon, so I can have 3 copies of it. Rare, so I can have 2. Misanthropia. Give all minions Blight 3. So if I would have kept the other card, we would have gotten to combo them this turn. As is, we'll hit them down to 6. We'll burn this Hopeless Necromantic. We'll play Risi down over here. When it comes into play, it domes them for 4. We're down to 2. Yes, this game actually supports 2v2. That's a good question. There is a 2v2, there's a 2v2 mode. Again, grab a friend and play together. Wonder Drug's pretty good here for them. It's a card that says if they're at 7 life or less, they gain 8 and draw 2 cards. Otherwise, they gain 4 and draw 1. There's a in-client deck tracker. There's a 2v2 mode. There's a full spectator client. Basically, they're an actual small indie company that kind of kicks ass. And this damages a minion, give it blight 1 so it slowly dies. That's rude. All right, so before I do that, let's activate my power. Shoot them for 1, and I draw a card. Give a minion swift and teleport, so they're dead. So let's jaunt. Jaunt's been very good. Just like jump over here, hit ya. Yep, you can watch game replays. That's all. Lots of great stuff. If you end up installing the game, you can follow me in client to see when I'm playing. You can spectate my games inside the client. We're up to Mithril 5 here. Working our way up towards champion. Oh, I forgot to set my faction missions. So I completed a mission there. Yeah, of course the game is a spectator mode. This game's created by a small indie company that has 10 employees. Why wouldn't they have awesome features like a spectator mode? And lots of other good things that you expect. This is, in addition to enjoying the actual gameplay for Mythgard, I think Mythgard is probably the best card game software I've ever used. Yes, and the spectator mode doesn't let you see the cards in my hand, obviously, because then you could have your friend spectate and cheat, or you could cheat with another account. But when you watch replays of games that are completed, you see both players' hands, which is great. Do you see known cards in spectator mode? I don't actually know the answer to that question. Uncertain. Both have some grinning kobolds here. My opponent's path over here. Oh, I put this in the wrong spot. They're about to use their hero power to impel this over and kill my thing, I think. Yeah, I messed that up. So their thing here rotates through different modes. So one it heals them, heals their minion, draws them a card, and on one of them is a drawback. It makes their things fragile. That's actually a pretty big drawback. So this is the first game we've played today with this deck. This is our 3rd game. This game, our Reanimator game plan is not really what we're looking to do. We not only do we not have a hopeless necromantic in our opener, but we have a bad unit in our discard pile to start. Improvements to the UI are on their list of things that they're working on. In terms of, the UI is very functional, but functional is a good descriptor. All right, so I'm gonna detain this, so it gets -2 attack. This only ever takes 2 damage inside of combat. So even though I'm attacking for 3 with Slayer, it lives. My Born Again comes back to my hand, so this card works well with our disc in that normally we have to discard, but ooh, that's unfortunate. So Bename Falls is an enchantment here that gives the occupied minion regen 2. So this is going to heal back up the 2 damage it just took here, which means I won't be able to kill it next turn. have a thunderclap here. Don't really need Kobolk at this point. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this and clap and then trade. The 2-3 is real annoying, especially with the 2-3 on Bename Falls, especially is a good combo because it never takes more than 2 in combat. And this seals it for 2 every turn. Gross. I'm gonna poke them with my power. There's a sidecar. Huh? Yeah, I'm just gonna take that. Let's grab the sidecar and deploy it down here. So anything we deploy on either of these 2 lanes will have rush next to this. That's an 8-8. I think we're dead. I guess this doesn't have overrun, so I can just like fog it indefinitely. My grinning Kobolk is real bad at the bottom, so I guess I'm just burning this. I wanna I have to discard a card here if I want to do this. I think that's fine though. I don't really need thunderclap. I'm still gonna burn this. I've got the expensive bombs in this deck. We can actually just cast them out. Yeah, we should have a traitorous murmur. Yeah, I've got a traitorous murmur. No budget decks here. Are there any ways to manipulate the boneyard? There are some cards that allow you to like banish things, but we're not playing any of them in our deck. So like once we get a bad thing on the bottom of the boneyard, we're basically just boned. As far as the that game plan goes. So can I Berserkr Sickness their thing? And then it'll die at end of turn? Give a minion Frenzy and sacrifice at the end of its turn? I'm reading that right? Yeah, it's the end of its turn. So I could do this. I'd have to survive 2 attacks from it. Yeah, I don't know if that's good enough. I think I'm just taking that, and then I'm sliding this over. I'm going to play this here. Like, even if I get something kind of medium back, it's better than, like, getting eaten by this 8-8. Yep. So this draws me a card. Let's start there and see what we get. Oh, I was on the wrong mode. Does not draw me a card. Makes me discard. All right, we're pretty good. Our deck seems less good when we don't have the combo aspect to it, which I guess makes sense. If we're not hitting our primary game plan. How much did we whale in this game? I have a pretty full account at this point. Oh, I should have played a warded minion for the quest. What a tilter. Should have played out my warded boy. Ooh. I have 83% of Mythics. I'm like 400 packs in or so. I don't play card games I like casually. I spent like, yeah, the Kobolk misplaced at us back. I positioned it in the wrong spot. If I decide I like a game, I go pretty much all in, so I can just play whatever I want. Junkyard Valhalla is one we haven't had yet. This is actually another reanimation tool. It's at the start of your turn. If you do not control a dredge, it returns the bottom minion of your boneyard to your hand. or to play, and it makes it a dredge. Slide this all the way over. I think I'm going to go ahead and burn a gallows boy here and then activate my power, discarding a blacked out jotun, or a blackened jotun. So that way the bottom minion of my discard pile is something good for the junkyard Valhalla. Album of the card patch previews. Oh, they're nerfing Braggy. Demolition Speedway's blue. Okay. There's a lot of good knobs they can turn. I'll have to look at that later. Alright, so the way I've sequenced my resources this game, I can't currently play this, 'cause even though I have 4 total from the ramp from the grinning kolobok, I only have 1 blue gem currently. I can deploy Born Again here, though, and put Gallows Boy over here, since I have double green and 4.
Do we have a mission?
Do we have a mission? So this lets this trade with my Born Again, which lets this hits my face. So my power is currently giving everything Slayer. So if I attack here, it shows that both of these will trade, which is not what I want. So I'm going to hit my power before combat. That's actually pretty good. And now my guy loses 1 and their thing dies. And then I think I'm going to burn the Jotun. I'm going to burn the Wake the Bones and put my necromantic here in the middle. I believe they said their goal is to get the patch out tomorrow, but don't quote me on that. Volition costs 3. Is it just like 3, no other changes? Because if so, I think that's a good change. They gave their thing deadly, and it draws a card when it dies. So they killed my necromantic, and now it'll kill this if I attack in here. I think making that card cost 3 is an appropriate change. It makes it harder to like full combo people with Bald Mountain, which is like a good swap. This is one of my favorite cards in this game right now. It is a Panic Raider. So it starts off as a 2/2, and then every time it deals damage to the opponent, it gets smaller and it draws a card. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill this off, which hits them for 5. This hits them for 2, and I think I just play another Jotun over there. And I'll burn this thane for now, because I need a second blue to get this Junkyard Valhalla out eventually anyways. Panic Raider got hit. It makes you lose a life. That's a good change. Panic Raider's really good. He's still really good, chat. At any cost. Yeah, that's more in line too. The fact making the red card advantage cost you life makes sense. Fire Eater costs a resource to use. Yikes, that card's probably not playable with an activation cost.
Hey there.
But does it make sense to the abundant of healing in the same color? Firmly disagree. I think having healing and pay life to draw cards in the same color makes a lot of sense. Bald Mountain only returns a spell now. Oh, it doesn't reduce the cost? Huh? That plus the Volition change is more than enough to make those combo decks less offensive. That's good. So current side Knight. So when I activate this next time, I'm going to have to discard a card.
Reporting.
They made Wings of Abaddon no longer have Overrun. Huh. I don't know how I feel about that one. So this can trade here. This can get played here. Which gives this Swift so it can move right away, which is sweet. And then I can burn this and activate this, so this has Slayer now. So these will trade if they want to attack. Oh, this has Rush too, that's so good. Well, my friends are gone, but that was my dredge. The Hopeless Necromantic's coming back next turn. Opponent's a little bit low on life, but I've got plenty of resources. I've got Junkyard Valhalla. We're behind on cards, but Junkyard Valhalla and Born Again are like worth a few additional cards, which is nice. Grinning Kobolk's a pretty bad draw. Thankfully, this is currently on the mode to let me draw a card. Cataclysm would actually be great here, except I don't have a third blue gem. Resupply Caravan only gives an action if the adjacent minion is on a desert. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good... I think Volition with Bald Mountain and Resupply Caravan were outliers in a game that otherwise felt like it always has a lot of player agency. So I think changes to those makes a lot of sense. Here's a card advantage engine for them. This is whenever an occupying non-angel minion dies, it comes back to their hand, and it has its cost reduced by 2, and it gets +1/+1. This lets them kill this and then attack me with the 2/1. It's been okay. I feel like okay is an apt descriptor. So we're currently on night. So when I flip this, we're gonna have to go to day. Freki sidecar is pretty sweet here. So this is, So I'm gonna do this. And then I can hit this, which lets this trade off here. Then the thing that comes back up has Rush. So this can then hit them and put them to 5, or put them to 6. And these trade here, this hits their face. They do have some life tap here. Born Again is really good with sidecar, because giving this Rush is strong. That's unfortunate. So that steals my thing. Not quite dead, but almost. They're up to 7. If they can't kill me here... Oh, this doesn't have Rush anymore, right? Oh, it's ephemeral, so it's gonna die. So ephemeral says if it would go to anywhere, it dies instead. So that just like straight up kills me. Are we actually just dead? Yeah, we're actually just dead. They make this a 4 with their hero power. It was a pretty close game. We're 2-2 now. So far we've won all of the games where we've had mountain early. Had mountain into reanimate, but the games where we haven't had mountain into reanimate have been kind of middling. Yeah, look, it sounds like they retooled a lot. Okay, well, we're on the draw. So we get to ditch mountain here. We don't currently have a what's her name? Hopeless necromantic. Gallows boy is decent for us, so I get to go ahead and play this Born Again over here, which trades off nicely. Yeah, I agree, Hunox. It sounds like a lot of the cards they're addressing are to make aggro slightly less punch you and make the feel bad combos not be feel bad combos. Which I think is good. I think one of the big advantages this game has over games like Magic is Magic I often describe as a very low player agency game, and I would definitely say the inverse is true of this application. The way the designs that this game has tend to allow for an incredible amount of player agency, which I think is a good thing. I'm surprised that they're changing cards that people don't even play in most decks. I think that's a good thing. I think using their design space to make cards that were otherwise unplayable playable is great. I think enough games like Hearthstone and stuff like that haven't explored making bad cards better to diversify things as opposed to just nerfing things. A really sweet way to try and balance things is to add more playable cards to the pool. Hey, Roth, we got you. So at the start of my next turn, this living mountain's gonna pop up into play here as a dredge. I'm gonna burn... What am I burning here? I'm pretty far away from this mattering. I think I'm just gonna burn this and play this guy out over here.
Fire and stone.
I've got Berserkr Sickness here to let it attack twice. So if they don't take this out of play. We're hoping to dodge traitorous murmur here. They can also have things that stun this turn. But if they don't kill my living mountain, we should be able to get him here. A lot of different interactions their colors could have, though. Yep, there's a stun. Gonna deploy out these Born Agains next turn, most likely. Probably burn whatever we draw. Activate my power. Well, I can't burn that one. This card's blacked out. It means it's already been burned. So I guess I'll burn one of these Born Agains. I guess I could have hit this first. I'm gonna get to draw a card. Traitorous Murmur is great. And let's put Born Again here. And let's put Gallows Boy over here. Just kind of spread out a little bit. This might be overextending a bit in the event that they have a Misanthropia. Misanthropia is a pseudo sweeper. Yeah, gives everything Blight 3. So at the start of each turn, they get 3/3 smaller. They might actually still just be dead to this, though, right? Because this is going to be a 9. I believe they're dead. This says, gain standard action on all your mission, refresh your mana gems. Alright, yeah, that's lethal. The games you have Living Mountain are really good. You, like, only have one Living Mountain in the deck, though. Is a little unfortunate. Yeah, and, like, the setup of what this deck is doing compared to, like, how the Volition decks work, there's a lot more setup here, right? Your cards like Berserkr have a lot less utility in the middle. Yeah, we're setting up on board. Yeah, the green and blue core also has less tools to stunt aggressive decks in the early game too. Which is relevant. Okay, so we don't have the big guy, but we've got an 8/8 that we can ditch into the yard to get back with her eventually. This is free the first time. I guess I should hit it for free anyways. I could wait till I draw one more card to try and draw Living Mountain or something better than the Volcanic, but this way I don't currently have anything else I want to do next turn, so by using this now, I'm able to use my power again next turn, which would be great. If you think this game is neat and you want to give it a try, my recommendation is definitely always just jump into it. Unlike a lot of other games, this game actually has a really good tutorial at the start of it. Like I've said, the software surrounding this application is just really well done overall. I haven't taken the time to do like a how to play intro because I'm not sure I could honestly do better than just like play through to start. So we actually have a sidecar here to get going for the first time. So we're going to get to burn Detained, play a necromantic over here. Then the following turn, the necromantic can kill their thing, bring risi into play, and then sidecar can give the risi rush to attack right away. Thanks for the 5 months, JPaz. Welcome back. And there, something I talked about earlier, they have a system in the game where all of the accounts get what they call a feature decks to play to start. So you can play reasonable decks with good cards in them without owning any of the cards in them, like really sample the game nicely. Something I wish more games did. I think doing things like that is very smart from the developer perspective because people that get a sample of how good the game is are probably going to stick around and play it and maybe spend money on it.
Is that all you've got?
That's a little scary. When an enemy minion is created, gets +1/+1. It's a junkyard Valhalla. Okay, so what do I want to do here? This card's really scary because it's on the overrun enchantment over here too. I could flip my power. If I flip my power, it goes to... If I flip my power, it flips to the Slayer side, which is great. And I get to discard a Jotun. So now these can trade here. which then brings back my 8/8. Then I can burn this thunderclap. I think I'm just gonna take this. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, I'm dumb. I thought that let me move it the turn it comes into play, so it gives it teleport and swift, but swift doesn't mean it can move the turn you play it. So I wanted to jump this down over here, but I can't do that currently. That's unfortunate. I didn't really have anything better to do with my resources that turn anyway, so maybe it's fine, but it definitely didn't work how I was expecting it to work. Yes, yeah, big banish is really good against us. The orange removal seal away is also very strong because it banishes hopeless necromantic, so you don't get a minion out of it. Huh? I think I just trade these here. I don't know, that could go either way. So next turn, the bottom card of my minion is a Jotun. So that's going to pop up here. Maybe I should have put this, I probably should have put this on this lane here, actually. So that way it blocks whatever they put on the stairway, and I can also move it over this way if I needed to. Yeah, like they deployed something down over here now, which feels a little bit bad. These have Slayer 1. So what I can actually do here is I can play this here. And I can play this here. And then I can go sidecar, deal 3. It brings back this, and then sidecar, deal 3, and then it brings back the other one. And then smack you. It's a pretty good line. And then when these come back, they're ephemeral. So I couldn't just sit here and loop these forever, because when they come back, they leave, they die the next time they come back, basically. I'm currently in day, so next time I use this, it's gonna draw a card. Traitorous Murmur is kind of insane. Huh? This is a stealth minion? Do I just want to take their stealth minion? Has teleport, Slayer, alright. I think I just trade these here. I actually don't have any units in my bin to bring back next turn, which is kind of sad. So this thing, whenever it breaches, so if it successfully connects to my opponent, it deals 2 damage to anything, which is great. I don't know, I feel like I've got them on the rope, so like taking them off of this feels good, especially while I've got sidecar here. Because I don't really want sidecar to get killed by this. And Shinobi's one of the most commonly played stealth minions. That's a giant Bragsy. Woof. Can I kill them next turn? This is 4, 5, 11, 12. Yeah, that's exactly lethal, right? So hit you for 2, hit you for 1, hit you for 6, burn this, use my power.
And stone.
Don't gotta go through Braggy, just go around him. Sharing the birthday luck, keep up the great work. Thanks for the biddies, Beansy, I appreciate that. You're having a good one wherever you are. Rush is a very, very powerful mechanic. Agree. Alright, let's do one more with this. They've been kind of quick, and then I'm gonna go ahead and roll a quick ad and run to the bathroom. And we'll play something else when I get back. We can go till about 5:30. Wonder if the queue times will be a little bit slower this afternoon since they posted the patch notes, but people are gonna hold off on playing more till tomorrow. Maybe this will be my last one. Yeah, I'm gonna play one more game with this, and I'm gonna call it a day. I think I want to dig through their patch notes, and we can hopefully they'll have things patching up tomorrow, so we can play tomorrow afternoon with some of the changes. You can even play PvE while you're waiting for the opponent to pop. That's great. Some of the art on like the size of the card just doesn't do it justice how good it is. I don't think that's what I've looked at up close before. That's a really good one. This is the one that Gym Cutter Spider comes in with different, bits bigger for every different threshold you have, I believe. Whoa, I didn't notice that. There's people in this picture. Do you see that? To give context to how big the stairs are. I never noticed that before. There's 5 people in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't notice. Listen, there's a lot of them. There's only so much time to go around. I think this is the longest I've ever sat in the queue. I bet it's gonna be. This is kind of like with how many changes they announced tomorrow, this is kind of like the day before rotation now, the day before a set release. Someone posted a list of all the card changes. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's be done with this deck. And let's pull up. We can pull up and scroll through that really quick together. So final thoughts on this deck before we look at card changes was the actual combo aspect seems neat, but I wonder if there are things we can change to make if there's things we can change to make the early game a little bit better. Like some things that like aren't key to the late game or the combo aspect that we could like put cheaper cards in over. Like for instance, Cataclysm was like kinda cute, but I think I'd like more cheaper cards. Not playing a Magnuson in here is probably a mistake. He's like a good unit that you can reanimate. Okay, that's also just like on color. This is like in most blue decks, just very good. Baby Yaga's Den is like kind of a middling card. Maybe you could play more Gallows Boys or something. Keep the game open to compare. I think I know what most of the cards are. I guess some of the ones they buffed I might not. Okay, so I guess I don't know what the original text on this card is. I don't know. Looking at this, I don't know that this card's very playable. Mythgard's next patch comes out tomorrow at 9 a.m. PT, so it's 11 a.m. and it's expected to last 4 hours. Sweet. I was planning to do Mythgard at 3:30 tomorrow, so that's perfect. It was reduced from 3. I think this card's probably not very good still, but maybe. Speedway costing a second blue gem would be fine. Seems fine. Braggy's gonna cost 3 to give Frenzy. I think that's a good change. I think this card is pretty reasonable overall, and making it be a little bit less aggressive is a good change. Demise, return to its owner's hand if it attacked this turn. That's a huge power level increase on this card. This card previously got an extra attack if it killed something, right? Actually right there, was focused to and gets frenzy whenever another minion dies. So I think that's actually this is a pretty substantial power level boost. Oh, it just straight has frenzy now too. Yeah, this card alongside Siddiqui sidecar sounds really powerful now. Like mow down their board. Draugr gets +3/+3 until end of turn when attacking for the first time each turn. Fully heals whenever an enemy minion dies. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what Draugr did offhand. Where's Draugr? Do I not have a Draugr? I might not have a Draugr. It might be bad enough that I haven't crafted it yet. Oh, is it a rare? Oh, it's not a rare. Okay, it's a rare. Can only be played opposite enemy minion, fully heals when it dies 7/4. So that's another good. And like I was talking about earlier, I think the fact that they're like making cards better is a good change. So this card got cheaper and it gained less toughness. This is probably a really good change actually. This card at 2 will be really good as an anti-aggro card. At 3 it was a little bit too expensive. Mythgard has more similarities than Magic or Hearthstone. Honestly, the best way I can describe Mythgard is it takes the best aspects of Hearthstone and the best aspects of Magic, and it gets rid of the bad parts. Like, it takes the good parts of Hearthstone's combat and marries them to the best parts of Magic's combat, and it takes the resource variance removal that Hearthstone has while keeping the interesting deck building aspect that Magic has. Yep, it's another good anti-aggro card. After combat, enemy minion is stunned next turn. I don't know that this card's still very good. 2/2, agile, awaken, gain 2 life. That might be okay, depending on how good the aggressive decks are. Looks like orange has a lot of, or yellow's getting a lot of good anti-aggro cards now. Gives a minion Blight 1 at the end of turn. Demise infects with the Yana virus. Oh, this was only on Demise before, right? They made Wonder Drug marginally better too. This used to be 7 or less. Now it's 8 or less. So you don't have to be quite as low for Wonder Drug. Mezzo Libre, they reduced to a 3/3. That makes sense. Volition, God bless, they made it cost 3. +1 energy for every card in your opponent's hand. Deal damage to your opponent equal to energy and return to its opponent's hand. That's neat. I really love that they're taking cards that previously weren't playable and trying to adjust them to make them playable. Because ideally, you should, in a game that's not like focused on having a bunch of draft chaff like Magic is, you want most of your cards to be playable somewhere, even if it's just edge cases, right? So cards that like weren't seeing any play at all before, making them better is really exciting. That's really neat that they're doing that. I like that they're balancing the game that way. Yeah, some of these are just new cards. They're just like reusing the artwork. Create a 2/2 striking Viper with Alpha Strike across from every opposing minion. That's huge. Draw a card and reveal a card dealing damage to anyone equal to its mana cost. That's sweet. I like card advantage. This'll 10 out of 10. Rainbow Root will probably want to play this card now. This is a neat change. So I don't want to say Harvester is strictly worse with this change, because Maze like does eventually draw a card, but like it also gives you board presence too, which is neat. So previously this drew a card when it died. Was it triple yellow before too? It might not have been triple yellow before. It was triple yellow before, did not remember. Panic Reader makes you lose a life. That's a good change. This card was busted. Still very good. Still very good. Howling Abyss. All players discard cards at random until they have 4 cards or less in their hand. Sure. They got rid of Trample off of this. Oh, I actually really like this change. They got rid of Overrun, but they got rid of the activation cost too. So I like this. So this is less aggressive, but more utility. So I actually, like someone said earlier, they only got rid of, yeah, it makes it a better control card is what it does, which is exciting. I think that's a sweet change. Gets +1/+1 when another minion dies. If it's 8 health or more, gets Frenzy and Immortal. What is that? What did that do last time? Did it not have Deadly before? Did it cost 6? Oh, I don't have Mythics on. I'm dumb. +1/+1. Every other minion dies, gets Frenzy and Immortal. Is that the same card? Am I going crazy? That's the same card, right? Oh, it's a utility action now? Sure, so it can do it and attack in the same turn. Marginally better. Lurker, life tap, gain an energy, deal 1 damage to you and your opponent. So technically, deals 1, gains 1, or just deals 1. Give another minion Demise. Return to play in the same lane with Funeral. Lose half your life and draw 4 cards. It's a 3/6 now? Sure. Look at the top 3 cards of a player's deck. Put the top card of your deck into your boneyard. Cute. Wake the Bones. Wake the Bones gives it ephemeral now. I think this is a good change. Deported requires green. I think that's a fine change. Rewind Hex costs 2. That's fine. This card's a big tempo blowout, so making it cost more seems fine. Pillage. What did Pillage do before? I think Pillage only did artifacts before, right? Take control of an enemy artifact. Yeah, so they reduced the cost. This is a big upgrade. So it's cheaper, it still does this, and it has and it's modal. So like one of these 2 modes is probably relevant. A minion opposite lane is stunned until it leaves play. That's an upgrade, right? Maybe the stats are different now. Moves or leaves play. Nope, just a straight upgrade. Okay. With 2 more strength and health, if one of your minions died during your opponent's last turn, they made this double green. This no longer makes your spells cheaper. That's good. Less combo enabling. Invisible City. That gave your opponent life before, right? That's some kind of drawback. Your opponent gains 2 life. Sure. So strict upgrade there. This is double orange. Yeah, there are a lot of changes. Resupply, they need to be on a desert to get an extra action. This is big. Gives the opposing minions fragile 1. I think this card's probably close to playable. It's probably very good now. This is a small stat boost, if I recall. It was a 2/6 before, I think, or a 2/5. Breach. Leave top 2 cards to your opponent's deck. Pick 1 to put on the bottom. Has Agile, occupying a desert enchantment. Oh, purple. I bet they were going to buff purple. Purple was like one of the weaker colors. Give a minion at the end of turn. Deal 1 damage to its controller and adjacent minions. Look at the enemy's hand and choose a card. It becomes ephemeral and its end cost is increased by 3. Look at that. 1 mana discard that's not completely offensive. That's nice. This is, look at that. Take note, Magic. Sniffer, Breach, add a Divine Compass to your hand. Do we know what that does? What's a Divine Compass do? Divination 3. It used to be focused. Now it's swift and a 1/2. If occupied, at the end of your turn, randomly create a Divine Compass, Powerful Element, or Squire Pike to your hand. It's 2/2 when an item is used on it. Used to be a 1/1, now it's base 2/2. Misfortune getting toned down is probably a good thing. Only deals 1 damage to you now when the thing dies. Gain 3 temporary mana and draw a card. Decoy's probably playable with a cantrip. Like, ramps you the following turn and it draws a card. That's a big deal. So, like, this comes into play and they don't know what it is. So if they don't attack it, you can attack it into something the following turn and ramp up. Plus replace itself. Did it always cantrip? I definitely undervalued that card then. You're right, it did always cantrip. I missed the cantrip part on this. Master of Shadows, Stealth, Immortal, Deadly. Minions you create get stealth. This ability does not break stealth. This card's like really good, right? Like that. That's a huge upgrade. So it's a 2/5 with just stealth and deadly. It's immortal now. Like, this card's like real good. Like, this is probably like a must craft purple, I think. Occupying minion has +1/+1 for every duel this enchantment has won. Well, you know who's the king of the White Moon Arena? Does deadly work with this? What does deadly say? Deadly only works with combat damage. Deadly only works with combat damage. Perfect grade is a 6/7 now. Is that what it was before? It was armor 2. Armor 2 instead of It makes it a lot harder to kill. Warded minions are good in arena. That's a good point. Wow, this card mills them really quick. Banish the top energy cards of your opponent's deck and then gain an energy. So this mills for 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5. Like that runs them out really quickly. Like this is like a lot of this could just be like the win condition in a control deck, right? You just like play this card and just like get 2 to 3 hits in with it with like different copies. It was a flat 2 cards before, so it's just strictly better. They added 1 to the Fire Eater activation cost. This card might still be playable. It might not be though. Search your deck for a card that's already been burned and add it to your hand, then shuffle a card back into your deck. Weird. I don't know if that's actually good or not. Ooh, I'm glad they buffed the pup. I don't know if this is enough to make canines playable. Give adjacent minions +1/+1, but the fact that it has like an enter the battlefield trigger, so when it gets bounced, it's not just all downside, is kind of sweet. I suppose it was just like a 2/2 before, right? Has 2/2 while occupying an enchantment. Yeah, so I think this card's a little bit better. It might still not be good enough, but it's a little bit better. All right, that's gonna be it for me for today. I'm going to, perfect grade is going from Slayer to Armor. And if you want a link to this, this is the Imgur album with all these changes in it. This patch is supposed to be getting deployed at 11 a.m. Central tomorrow. They have a 4 hours, they're giving themselves a 4-hour window of potential downtime. I'll be back with Magic tomorrow morning, and then I'm planning to dive into playing some games with some of the freshly patched Mythgard. I like listening to Mythgard content because it lets me know what I sound like when I talk about Magic. You should give it a try, Hippity. The tutorial is very good. Thanks as always to Iron for sponsoring today's stream, and I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one, folks.